to show you something in this lesson you can use to spice up your blues playing, maybe make it a little bit more authentic. So typically when you first start learning the blues and trying to play the blues, lead stuff, you probably learn minor pentatonic, minor blues scale. So I'm in B flat, so this is the B flat minor pentatonic. And the minor blues scale is just that, but with the flat 5 added in, so it sounds like this. That note there. Now, while both kind of work, especially the minor blues scale, the minor blues scale kind of feels like Western theory trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. So they're, trying to condense an entire genre and deep folk music into, here's a scale you can use, which doesn't really make sense. And to continue the square peg into a round hole analogy, it kind of sounds a bit square. It just sounds a bit square, a bit, what's the word, stale. Don't get me wrong, it can be used, and I use that note, that flat 5, all the time. There's maybe a better way you can make it a little bit more authentic. So, if we take the minor pentatonic, there's 5 notes. 3 of those 5, if you put a quarter tone bend on them, that's the trick. So on the 1, no quarter tone bend. We don't want a quarter tone bend on that. On the minor third or the flat 3, put that little quarter tone bend on it. If you don't know what a quarter tone is, or quarter tone bend, if we take this note, 1 fret higher, that's a semitone. The distance between those 2 notes is a semitone, or a half step. We want a quarter tone, so it's this imaginary note in between that and that. There it is. Kind of pretty gnarly, but it instantly sounds bluesy, So the 1, don't do it. Flat 3, stick it in. 4, it works. 5, leave it, don't do it on the 5. No bend there. And the flat 7 works there. So if I play that minor pentatonic but put the quarter tone bends on the flat 3, the 4 and the flat 7, sounds like this. Now you don't want to use these every time, but when used correctly, they sound great. Loads of blues players do them all the way, going back to B.B. King, Robert Johnson, but then B.B. King, Albert King, all the way through to modern day Bonamassa, Robin Ford, that sort of thing. So that's just ascending the minor pentatonic but putting these little quarter tone bends in. And then some vibrato at the end. Descending. I tend to use it on the 4 a little bit more sparingly. I do it on the flat 3 and the flat 7 quite a lot. Here's the flat 7. And here's the flat 3. I don't do it quite as much on the 4. But the 4 could be, the 4 you can bend it up to the flat 5. You can bend it up to the 5. Or you can do the little quarter tone thing. Does sound great. So here's a couple of licks you could use where you transform an otherwise quite boring few notes into a far more authentic blues sound. Let's take this. Very wooden. Extremely wooden. I mean, it doesn't help that I'm not doing any vibrato at the end either. Bit better. Now, we've got 4, 5, flat 3, 1. Let's put the little tiny bends on the 4 and the flat 3. So on the first note, not on the 5, on the flat 3, and back to 1 with some vibrato. So we've gone from this to this. Sounds so much better. Let's think of another one. Here you go. So instead of, so that's flat 7 up to the 1, down to the 5, down to the 4, down to the flat 3. So instead of that, doesn't sound remotely bluesy. Not remotely bluesy. I'll put the little quarter tone bends on the same suspects, the flat 7, the 4 and the flat 3. Instantly bluesy. With some vibrato on that flat 3 as well. I'm not putting it so much on the 4 there. Find it kind of, I don't know, a little bit too gnarly maybe. That's what I mean, that 4, the quarter tone bend on the 4, I kind of use a little bit more sparingly. Everything's context based, and it's really hard to say, when this happens, do that, and when that happens, do this. You just have to play for a long time to figure out what notes are right for certain contexts. But yeah, in that context, I don't like the 4 having the quarter tone bend there. But it sounds so good, doesn't it, with those little quarter tone bends. So yeah, that's it. Just take your minor blues, your minor pentatonic, put those little quarter tone bends on the flat 3, the 4 if you like it, and the flat 7. One final little bit of advice. When I'm doing these quarter tone bends, I generally don't like the sound of them coming back down again. So I like normally to hear this. Not. Hear how it came down? But there's loads of players that do that all the time. It's not wrong. Albert King's done it. I'm sure BB's done it. I can't think of all the others off the top of my head, but you know, they do it. Great players do it. It's just a taste thing. I'm doing it a bit more often these days, and like with a lot of things, if you hear something a lot, you kind of grow to accept it. So it's kind of growing on me, but generally, I'd rather hear that than that. Hopefully you can hear the difference. I'll do it a bit slower. So this is without bringing that quarter tone down, and this is with letting it come down and then playing the next note. Kind of, I don't know, it's almost anticlimactic. I don't know how to describe it. I just prefer it not coming down most of the time. And what I'd say is, the final thing I want to say is, take those 2 licks that I played. One of them was this, wasn't it? And play it in as many different places as you can, in as many octaves as you can. Like that. That's just one other place I could play it in another octave. But obviously I'm not going to work it out now, but there's probably at least, I mean, in terms of combinations, geez, there's got to be 20 at least, off the top of my head, different ways of playing. Here's another one for you. That's one, just a few frets away. So yeah, there's loads of different ways of playing those same notes. Hopefully this has been useful to you. If it has, please consider subscribing to my channel. Leave a comment below if there's any subjects you want me to cover, if there's any covers you want to see me do. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thanks.